Hello, and welcome to On Point. I'm Jonathan Greenstein. Over the last several months, small business owners and working class people have struggled to stay afloat as prices for all kinds of goods and services rise. The increase in prices, that sense you get that your dollar doesn't stretch as far, is known as inflation. Data from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics says that inflation has increased 6.2% in the last year alone. The rise in prices has led to people micromanaging their expenses, in turn, damaging small businesses that are trying to make ends meet. As people resort to homemade meals, restaurant owners struggle to pay their workers and attract customers. Inflation is just the latest trial that the owners of the restaurant Grandi Italiani have faced. They considered closing in 2019, but managed to stay open through the COVID pandemic, and now are one of many small businesses struggling with rising prices. According to a survey by the National Federation of Independent Businesses, 61% of small businesses raised their prices in January of this year. The recent rise in gas prices is also a part of the story. A gallon cost almost $2 more than it did at this time last year. That increase has hurt many workers who drive for a living. Today on Point, we will be talking to some of the people whom inflation is squeezing the hardest. On Point's Francisco Campos has more.
All right, thank you, John. Today I am joined by Aron Celnik, owner of the Grandi Italiani, and Connor Grant, a former Doordash employee. How's everything, first of all?
Fabulous.
That's great.
Doing great, yeah.
That's great. So, Aron, my first question is for you. How long have you been a restaurant business owner?
Well, a business owner for 12 years, but with a former restaurant for most of those years. It'll be 3 years June that Grandi's been open.
And what's been the biggest challenge that you've faced while owning this restaurant?
Aside from government closure, shutdown, and mandates and this and that, it has to be expenses. I mean, that's the name of the game. It's a nickel and dime business, and you got to save where you can, and inflation is not helping.
Connor, I know you used to work for Doordash. What was the reason, or plenty of the reasons, that made you leave Doordash?
The main reason was just the rising gas prices. DoorDash was very profitable when gas was around $3 a gallon, but now with gas getting up to $5-6 a gallon, it just became far less profitable.
So I did interview someone about Uber Eats' plan of how they're helping workers pay their gas, and we're going to play that right now.
You know, prices are supposed to be going down, but as of right now, they haven't really gone down that much. So it's just, you kind of just want to stay home and not spend so much. But at the same time, you know, they are trying initiatives to get people to still deliver. I think they add like a certain amount to deliveries. Let's say I think it's like $1 or $2 extra, just to kind of offset that extra amount that you would pay for gas.
Okay, and we also interviewed another driver, and he also talked to us about the plans that they're making for him.
Uber recently they just did a little plan where you're gonna get some money back, but not all of it. It's like they're charging customers like an extra 45 cents for every order that they order through Uber, and that 45 cents is for you to keep for your gas money.
So Connor, were these plans in place when you were doing DoorDash?
They weren't. After gas was rising, it did take them a while to start doing those little bonus incentives like that. And I do think that they waited too long because I just had to leave and I had to go and get a job at Amazon just because with the gas prices, they just took too long to give relief to their drivers.
Had these plans been in place when you were still doing it, would you have considered staying, or?
I probably would have been a lot more likely to consider staying, yeah.
Okay. And also for Mr. Aron, I know that the prices of meats have gone up significantly recently.
Everything.
Yes. So how has that impacted your business?
Well, you know, I can only raise prices so much, and I did, but you don't want to scare away what customers you have. And part of the problem right now is with gas prices so high, it's, even though we're cafeteria style operation to feed a family is going to cost $30-$40. And some people are probably saying, okay, honey, do we take the kids out to eat tonight, or do we fill up the gas tank? So that's my big problem right now.
Yes. And has it also impacted the amount of people you have on your staff?
No, our staff was hit pretty hard because of the COVID. First, they took away our indoor dining, then they took away outdoor dining. And so I used to have a dedicated table busser. I used to have a dedicated dishwasher. Now we all share in the job, and I have my son helping out and my wife helping out. So I'm doing everything I can just to stay afloat. And, with prices continuing to go up for meat, packaging, anything that has to do with packaging, sometimes I can't even get what I need. Like paritos is very hot in this neighborhood over here, and I can't get them. And that's because of the trucking is backed up and this and that and whatever. And it's a very big problem. So we're just hanging on right now, basically doing the best we can and hoping for better days.
And has it impacted your spending? Like, is there certain things you leave off your menu and certain things you keep?
No, I kept all the menu items. What I do is I have to go to the store now. I go to like a Restaurant Depot, and I'll make a run to pick up some stuff. I'll go get some produce from them just to save, every time I pick something up, it's like $50 here or $70 there. And that's what I'm trying to do instead of raising the prices even higher here and possibly scaring off more customers.
So that goes to my next question. How did customers react to the prices increasing for your menu?
Well, I'm very fortunate that the prices are very reasonable at our restaurant because, like I said, it's a cafeteria style restaurant. And so when the prices went up, some people were, the price sensitive ones, they did mention it to me. But for the most part, it was well received. I didn't get much pushback.
Okay. And for Connor, I know that Uber Eats drivers and DoorDash drivers sometimes prefer to drive to wealthier areas to receive larger tips. Did you do that when you were working for DoorDash?
I did do that a couple of times. I did test out a few different areas, and in certain areas, they would have bonuses, like say you get an extra $3 per delivery. So sometimes I would go to different areas for things like that.
Okay, and did you go to these areas once gas prices started going up, or did you try to keep it local?
Once gas prices started going up, I definitely did keep it local. I stopped doing that.
For Mr. Celnik, Aron,
Yeah.
I know there was a time you were close to closing your business, or you did close it?
No, we were close to closing. Yeah.
What made you keep pushing to keep it open?
The public. I had a customer that came in, and this was even pre-COVID. I had a customer who came in, and he said to me, Aron, why don't you put something on Facebook and see what happens? I say, really? Come on. It's like there are only so many people that look at Facebook. But I did it anyways because it was a Hail Mary, and the response was just mind-boggling. I had to have help come in, and I had some former employees from another restaurant came in to help me out, and it was just like gangbusters over here. And so that told me, okay, people really want us to stay over here. And that's why I figured, okay, I'm gonna give it my best shot.
And for Connor, what was some of the wear and tear that DoorDash put on your vehicle?
Wear and tear, well, as far as everything maintenance-wise, you'd go through tires, brake pads, all of that a lot quicker, oil changes every month or two. And I did have to get a few repairs on my car just because, with my job, I'd easily be driving over 100 miles a day. And that really quickly puts a lot of stress, especially on your cooling system, driving a lot of city miles. So I definitely did have to get quite a few expensive repairs on my car.
Okay. And DoorDash didn't help you with any of these repairs?
To my knowledge, they don't have any program like that. And I never received anything from them for car repairs.
Okay. Does Grandi Italiani, you guys do delivery, right?
Say that 3 times fast.
Grandi Italiani. Grandi Italiani.
Bravo. No, we don't do our own delivery. And I didn't even consider delivery until COVID hit and we had to adapt. And so I did have DoorDash I have now. I have Postmates and Uber, which is the same company, and Chow Now.
Okay. And have you seen more orders or the amount of orders increase or decrease with inflation going up?
It's about the same. I have, it's incremental. Every month I see the trend going upwards where more people are ordering. I do charge 20% more to cover the cost that Uber takes out for, their share of our business. And then I understand they charge the customers more, but I figure if the customer wants it, it's a convenience, they do it. But I can't afford to have a driver sitting around waiting to make a delivery. I can't do it.
Yes. And has there been a decrease in the amount of customers eating inside your restaurant with everything with all the prices increasing?
No, I see a slow increase in the amount of customers coming in. It's slow for us. Maybe for other restaurants, it's much better. But for us, it's not as fast as I would like, for sure.
Do you think it has to do with being a small local restaurant?
It could be location, but the weekends were very busy. So, it's just the weekdays were kind of slow. And again, it could be neighborhood. We're in a very heavy blue collar neighborhood. There are a lot of trucks out here. People are working. They're working all day long and they come home late at night and they're too tired to go out or we're closed because I close at 7:30 now, weekdays, and weekends I stay open a little later because it's worthwhile doing. But during the week, it just doesn't pay.
Yes. And what was the most costly product you've had to purchase during inflation or during the COVID era?
The most costly product. Like I said, everything has gone up. Meat, chicken have gone up at least 30%. Flour's gone up. Cheese has gone up. I mean, packaging is just 30% higher. It's just, it's just amazing. What I used to pay for a small container, for a plastic pint container of 15, 20 cents. Now I'm paying 30, 35 cents. So it all adds up.
And Connor, has this inflation impacted the way you purchase or spend your money?
It definitely has. I'm for sure a lot more frugal with my money now because I do know that whenever I fill up my car, I'm probably going to have to spend more than I've ever spent before. And that's been true the last few times I have.
Yeah. And Aron, have you also been wise with your money with gas and everything else going up?
Well, I live 10 minutes away from here and we don't do delivery like I mentioned. So before I used to drive 23 miles each way to get to the other restaurant. So thank God I don't have to do that anymore. But so now every 3 weeks I fill up the tank. But I'm looking at my customers. My customers, they bring in a family and big families. We get nice sized families. And it's like, it keeps going through my head. They're saying, okay, do we fill up the gas tank or do we take this family out to eat? And I got to say they're cutting back. They got to be cutting back. I would.
Connor, how often would you fill your gas tank when you did DoorDash?
I would fill up my car about twice a week.
Okay, would you fill it when it was close to being on empty or like when it was half?
Yeah, usually when it was about empty. So about 25 gallons of gas a week.
How much would it come out to, like each week?
Each time about $70 to fill up my tank, so $140 a week in gas.
Wow. And now that you don't do DoorDash, how often do you fill it up?
Now, once every 2 or 3 weeks. I hardly drive anywhere anymore.
Wow. It really made a difference not working for DoorDash anymore, huh?
Yeah, definitely made a huge difference.
Yeah. I also interviewed someone the same person for Uber Eats, and he talked about the amount of tips he would get when he would go to certain places and how frequently he would get certain tips. So we're going to play that right now.
I'm seeing less of my tips, but I remember I would get a lot of like 10s, 15, 20s. Mm-hmm. Now I'm seeing more 5s and 10s. Every now and then I would get like a 17 or 30, but it's kind of rare now. It's always been kind of rare back then, even then, but I noticed it's even more rare now. I would get at least once a week, but now I'm getting once every 2 weeks, like a $17 one or $30 one.
Connor, did you see a decrease in your tips when everything started going up?
I did actually. I hadn't really thought about it much, but come to think of it, yeah, what he was saying is right. You would occasionally get those $20 tips, those big tips. And with once gas hit about $5 a gallon, I don't recall seeing any more of those big tips.
And Aaron, you guys accept tips at your restaurant, right?
Yeah, there's a tip jar and that goes to the employees. Absolutely.
Do you see it fill up less now or slower now that inflation has happened?
You were talking earlier about going into a nicer neighborhood to see if the tips are better and this and that. And we're not in a wealthy neighborhood, and these people, they're very generous. I mean, I asked them, what do you do? And this one's a waitress, or this one's also like an Uber driver, and they're blue collar workers, and they understand that everyone's hurting, and they're very generous. I mean, it's just a blessing. So we're very fortunate.
Connor, the person I interviewed, he said he would receive $1 tips, and he would prefer the people keep that dollar. Did you feel the same way when you were doing DoorDash?
Honestly, no. I mean, if I got $1 tip, I'd be like, "Where's the extra few dollars?" You know? Yeah.
Yeah. So, what would you say was the furthest you went doing a DoorDash order?
Furthest I went, I drove out to Camarillo one time because
No.
he had a $30 tip with it.
Really?
Yeah.
Was this before or after inflation?
This was after, and the base pay for that order was already about $20. So it was a $50 trip to Camarillo. So I figured it was worth it for that much.
Wow. So I remember him saying he had a strategy for the distance of the orders. Did you have a certain strategy when accepting orders for DoorDash?
I do, yeah. I'd only accept about half the orders because some you see the distance and the time it's going to take, and you calculate and you just figure that it's not worth it.
Because he said he would think like $2 for every mile. So was there like a certain method you had, like amount of dollars set for each mile?
Yeah, $1 a mile was the absolute minimum, but yeah, around $2 a mile was a good benchmark to go for. Also, you could do a little less. Say like you'd go for a smaller order if the drive distance was pretty short. So different factors. Also, depending on the restaurant, some restaurants would make you wait a long time for food, and some would have it ready right when you got there. So once you start to know every restaurant and the neighborhood you're delivering in, you factor in everything to figure out if it's worth it or not.
And Aaron, do you keep track of how many orders you have, like an hour or in a day?
By the day, I keep it, yeah, and then by weekly.
Okay. And when you track these orders or these has you seen an increase, a steady decrease? Is it constant, up and down? How has it been?
No, it's a roller coaster. I mean, some weeks are better than others. The trend is up over time, but very little. It's a slog. It really is a slog. And I got to give credit to these Uber drivers because they come in, they're very polite for the most part. And I'll tell you, sometimes they come in for just a small spaghetti and it's, $9. And I can't believe that they'll even take the order. And I say, well, God bless you for taking the order. Is it worth it? And they say, well, it's on my way here or there or whatever. So I guess they got to figure it out. Otherwise, they wouldn't do it.
Mm-hmm. And with the pandemic and inflation, have you sort of figured out how to handle your business?
There's an old saying. It's man plans and God laughs. Mm-hmm. And so you can plan all you want. I know guys that have all kinds of charts. I'm going to make this, I'm going to make that. The bottom line is at the end of the day, how much money you got in the cash register. And that's the bottom line. And so it's a very humbling experience being in any business. But it's been a particularly challenging time.
What has this time helped you learn personally rather than from the business side?
Oh, well, I read once that the most successful restaurateurs tend to be single. I've been married for 34 years, and I feel the opposite. I'm very blessed. I have a wonderful wife, and she's been working very hard to pay the bills. So, what I learned personally is don't take your loved ones for granted. The business does take over your life. There's so many things that have to be done and so many different hats that one has to wear, but never lose fact of, that there are people who care about you, and you gotta remember them.
Mm-hmm. And Connor, what has this taught you?
As far as like inflation.
Yeah, inflation.
And all that.
Personally.
Yeah. I would say just to never take anything for granted. When I was doing DoorDash and it was really profitable and gas was really cheap, you feel like it's going to last forever. But looking back, I wish maybe I would have worked a little more during that time when it was really profitable. So definitely learning to seize opportunities while they're still there.
And Aron, has inflation brought you closer to your staff more than ever before?
No, it's funny you mentioned that, because staff is their family. That's what it is. It's an extended family, and so I've always felt close to my staff. And now that we're even smaller than we were before, it's that much easier. So no, I don't have a problem with that.
Did the staff get smaller when inflation hit?
No, we got smaller because of the COVID lockdowns. They forced us to lay people off. There was no way I can keep these people on the payroll. We had the PPP, which was that payroll protection program, and I just couldn't keep someone to just stand around and not do anything. I mean, we have to be productive. That's the name of the game.
Yes. And did you ever think about bringing that person back, but inflation altered that plan?
No, it's not. It's no longer a matter of inflation. It's a matter of, are you bringing in enough revenue where you can support an additional employee? And since payroll makes up 40% of my gross over here, that's a big hit. So I have to be very careful.
Okay. And what would you say is, like, you don't have to get into specific numbers, but like the profit and expenses, like what's the amount you look for?
I haven't made a penny in this restaurant. I've managed to pay all my bills, all my taxes, everything that comes with owning a business. The most important thing is to make sure those paychecks are there for your employees every week, because they're giving their lives to help you out. And believe me, my employees are top notch. They've gone over and beyond what I've expected from them. So I've been very grateful to them. And hopefully one day I'll be able to give them more and share in the profit when there is a profit. Right now, there's no profit. Like I said, it's my wife who's paying the bills, not me.
Yes. And Connor, what was the margin of profit? You don't have to get specific numbers either, but the margin of profit you got in DoorDash, because I know you'd have to spend for gas and probably spend for your vehicle. So what would you say was the average margin of profit for you?
Right. Yeah, I actually made an Excel spreadsheet showing gas and estimated repairs and maintenance. And I found that of all the money I would make, an average of about 35% would go back into my car.
And with doing DoorDash, did it ever like interfere with your personal life or what you wanted to do? Because I know it can be consuming.
Yeah, no, never interfere with my personal life. One of the benefits about the job, and I'd say one of the main attractions, is that you get to set your own schedule. So it's great for people who have sort of obligations that, or some say like if you need to, be on call for something. It's great for something like that, because even if you scheduled yourself to work a certain amount of time, you could stop working whenever you needed to.
How many hours would you work a day doing DoorDash?
On average, about 6 hours, usually 3 hours at lunch around 11 to 2, and then at dinner around 5 to 8.
All right. So for Aron, I know in 2019 you were close to closing your restaurant. How did that lay the foundation for pushing forward today with inflation?
Well, we didn't see inflation back then. When COVID came around, inflation was the last thing on my mind. So inflation was something that kind of crept up on us. And that was something else that we just had to deal with. It was just like another roadblock to overcome, another obstacle.
But have you taken any pieces from the obstacles before that you faced and applied them to now?
Well, look, I'm always one to put the nose to the grindstone, right? You just You lower your head, you get to work, and you get the job done no matter what. The people have to be served, tables have to be cleaned, dishes have to be washed. All those things have to be taken care of. And so I try not to get bogged down by the other things. But at the end of the day, like I said, you have to see, does it make sense to stay in business? If I'm sure there are a lot of people who would say, you're crazy to stay in this business. You're not making any money. You're just providing a job for your employees. And I'm trying to lay a foundation for the future. I've done this all my life. I've been in the restaurant business for over 40 years. And so I'm not one to give up easily on anything. And so that's why I keep going. And so, yeah, did I learn anything from prior things to get me prepared for inflation? It's a combination of things. It's the COVID, the lingering COVID that is in the back of a lot of people's minds, and these high prices that may keep a lot of people away. That's the roadblock. And dealing with that, I mean, as things come, you have to deal with them. That's all.
Aron, Connor, thank you for joining me today. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. All right.
You're watching On Point. We'll be right back.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move. So I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
I came to CSUN to learn. I came to CSUN to grow. I came to CSUN to prepare. I learned to question, to answer, to encourage. I grew as a mentor, an ally, an advocate. I left CSUN prepared to uplift and embolden, prepared to challenge and inspire, prepared to teach.
I'm Rebecca Milwaukee, and I'm a Matador.
Thank you for watching On Point. You can follow us on social media at CSUN On Point. You can hear us on KCSN 88.5 FM on Sunday mornings at 5:30. You can watch us on LA 36 and Santa Clarita Valley Television. For all of us here at On Point, I'm Jonathan Greenstein.